All right, ladies and gentlemen, now the moment I've been waiting for. If you don't know NDI, I don't know what world you're in. If you do know NDI, you should be over here because Matt Lukens from the NDI team is about to dispel the rumors and give us the truth on the next level of NDI. So everybody warm hand for Matt. Let's get this kicked off.
Thank you all for coming this afternoon. I really appreciate it. I'm Matt Lukens, Director of Global Business Development for NDI. How many people here know that NDI is 10 years old? 10 years old. We introduced it at IBC in 2015, and the first live demo of NDI occurred in NAB in 2016. I know I set it up. So NDI is 10 years old. We made a lot of changes. We made a lot of increases. But first of all, I want to say thank you so much for JB&A to asking us to come again this year and talk about the next level of NDI. So it's 1 year later. We're back. What's happened? Excuse me. Last year, we introduced NDI 6.0 just before the show. And that basically brought 10-bit HDR to NDI and 10-bit codecs throughout, increasing our video capabilities. This afternoon, I'm going to talk to you about what's coming and what you'll see later this year. And not only improvements to technology, because we're all about the technology, but improvements to our ecosystem support, which means your customers have a better time dealing with NDI. Excuse me. Big news. We've been working on this a long time. AWS is showing NDI MediaConnect in the cloud as an Amazon service at the show. Makes it really simple. You want to see the demos, come over to the West Hall. There's lots of VizRT product being shown in the cloud. There's lots of NDI product being shown in the cloud by AWS. So this is arguably the most exciting thing that we've done in quite some time, probably since last year when we increased our codecs from 8 to 10 bits. In this case, basically you can bring a transport stream into AWS. It'll be converted into NDI and delivered to your product running in the cloud. You want to take NDI out, same thing. You can send NDI out and AWS will convert it to a transport stream and send it wherever you want from your virtual private cloud. Very excited about this. This really enables large-scale workflows. If you look at what's happening with the large broadcasters, they're going to the cloud to save money. They're going to the cloud to make their productions more agile. And this is a key part of doing that with NDI. So more highlights after AWS. Last year, for the last 2 years, in fact, we have ramped up where we have had growth of NDI products in the field of over 70% per year, year-over-year growth. That's staggering, okay, 70%. We've launched the Connected Partner Program. You know when you want to get a product and put all those NDI products out there, well, you've got to use a switch from somebody. You've got to use infrastructure. And so we started working with and certifying infrastructure partners. They might not have NDI in their product, but we'll certify them to work with that product so that when you go to buy a product, you will know that it will work. Because what does everybody love about NDI? It just works and always has, right? Excuse me. In the last year, over 180 products have been certified in the NDI certification program. Again, why? Because we want to make sure that when you buy an NDI product, regardless of who you buy it from, that it will work. And by certifying the products, we will guarantee that it works. We're expanding our team with hubs in Lisbon and also San Antonio. And Crestron, as well as Max Hub in the Pro AV field, have adopted NDI Crestron on their camera side in collaboration and Max Hub for the displays. 2 big additions to our ecosystem. We're speeding up innovation. In the past, those of you who've known and loved NDI, NDI 5.0 was, are you ready? 2022. Took us 2 years to get out NDI 6, right? Guess what? We brought out 6.1 in December. We're going to bring out 6.2 in June. I'm going to bring out 6.3 in September. And these are not just bug fixes. These are major product releases with brand new features to support you and your customers. So we've sped up the pace of innovation at NDI dramatically, all to serve our customers. In 2023, if you were at NAB, actually, well, in 2016, there was one, right? In 2023, there were 20 customers showing NDI product at NAB. 2024, that number grew to 50 showing at NIB. This year, count them, more than 90 companies showing NDI product at NAB. We've more than quadrupled the number of companies using and delivering NDI for your customers in 2.5 years, which again is fantastic. I was at the sports video group meeting for the last 2 days, and I was stunned when one of the broadcasters got up and said, well, NDI is a major technology. I'm like, wow. When did we become a major technology? But we are now. This is really awesome. And we're being recognized by the industry. Last year, we showed you this graph. It's an independent research company. The independent research company is based in Britain. And this is basically the adoption of all of the different products across the video IP universe. NDI leads the crowd with over 800 NDI products that you can find on the web and purchase and build networks out of. Admittedly, not far behind us is 2110, my favorite gold-plated network. And, SDV EOS flat, Dante down there somewhere, and IPMX, excuse me, and AVB hardly at all. So we are now literally the leading video technology for doing live production, full stop. And it's being said by somebody outside of NDI. We're just not making this stuff up. So this is this year's graph. We're very proud of this graph. One of the things that you've seen is that we have come to dominate the PTZ camera market. 2 or 3 years ago, if you wanted NDI, actually 4 years ago, it was an option. You had to buy a camera that had an NDI option in it, or you had to download it from our website and add it. In the last year, all of our large partners have gone all in. Panasonic, Sony, Aver, you buy one of their PTZ cameras out of the box, no additional charge, it's NDI. Makes it a lot easier for your customers, makes it a lot easier for you. And other brands have followed with PTZ Optics and Bird Dog. So our playbook for the PTZ camera market has worked. We are now the dominant video technology available in PTZ cameras. So what's next? Displays. Up until 2 years ago, you could not find an NDI display for love or money. You get a converter, you plug it into the HDMI port of your display, and away you'd go. Now, major display manufacturers such as Atomos, little handheld video for your top of your camera, Magewell, Panasonic, Swit, Telescope, Telecam, and now Solum, specifically for digital signage, a Korean affiliate of Samsung, and MaxHub. For those of you who don't know MaxHub, they are one of Teams' top 10 partners and one of Zoom's top 10 partners. So from a collaboration space perspective, we now have MaxHub. So we're going into different market segments and we're dominating those different market segments. Now you can get NDI in all of the major collaboration platforms. Whether you're running Zoom rooms, whether you're running Microsoft Teams rooms, or whether you're running WebEx, you can run NDI with it. So we have pressed very hard to not only deal with providing products for you and products that you need to deploy in live events, but also in the collaboration space as well. We've always had the mantra that NDI is here to remove the limits of video connectivity, make it easier for your customers. And in order to do so, we found several areas that were blocking the adoption of video over IP. Limitations in equipment often cause a problem. Complexity and the need for specialized expertise. You know, you need a you need a video engineer to go install that. Thank you. And also, too many different protocols mixed in too many different environments. Live events have 2110, collaboration is RTMP, et cetera. And so NDI is trying to remove these limits because they do limit. First of all, NDI is high efficiency. I can fit probably 30 NDI HX streams on a single 1 gig network. I don't need a 10 gig network. I don't need fiber. I can run it on Cat6. I can run Cat5. In fact, I know for a fact people run on a 100 meg network that's in a wall they can't get out. So NDI is efficient to use and efficient to install, and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. So it's efficient from a cost perspective. We're plug and play. You heard me talk earlier about the ability to have an ecosystem where the products are certified to work with one another. And so in this particular case, what we've done is we guarantee that NDI will talk to other NDI products and remove the complexity of, well, does it support DCHCP or only static IPs? Well, the reality is you plug an NDI product in, it gets discovered, you can find it, and you can make it operate. And with interoperability, we unlock connectivity with a growing ecosystem of partners out there so that you are not locked into a specific set of products. And we make sure that all the new connectivity products work well together. So what is NDI? NDI is also known as the Network Device Interface, which is what we actually go by. And what we do is we leverage video over IP, and we've always meant to leverage video over IP as a way of seamlessly connecting a wide variety of products, applications, and peripherals. And today we are delivering that. And we've been delivering it since 2015, 10 years earlier. And so what are we going to do for our next act? How are we going to make this better for you, right? And the answer, after the graphics get done, is NDI 6.2. Up until now, on an NDI network, if you wanted to connect to a camera, no problem. You want to connect to a display? A little bit of problem because you can't find it, right? NDI, when we started out, the thought process was that receivers could go find sources and connect to them. So NDI as a network started with source discovery. And we used MNDS for those of you who know us well. And it works fine. If you're in a 3-camera shoot in Alabama and you got one of your parishioners plugging in the wires to try and make sure you can do the sermon on Sunday and it's Saturday evening and he wants to go home, NDI was great. Fantastic. You get into NBC, where we are, and they have 2,000 sources on a single network. And oh, by the way, they have another 150 displays down the hall. That's not an environment where MNDS plays well. So back in NDI 5, we brought out this thing called Discovery Server. So you could find NDI devices across entire networks. But we hear you. We heard the big broadcasters. You can discover everything with 6.2. You can discover receivers, which means you can discovery server, you can use the discovery server to discover the output of a switcher. You can discover a display down the hall, which is all really great. But guess what? You can also control them. You can tell the display to disconnect from camera number 1 and connect to camera number 3. And yes, it's protected, by the way. You don't have some random dude going in there and hacking your network, hopefully, right? So number one, discovery. Number two, control. Number three, one of the big criticisms, frankly, of NDI has always been you can't figure out what it's doing. You look at a camera, is it up? Is it down? What codec is it sending? How many frames per second is it sending? Unfortunately, unless you had an external piece of hardware software to figure that out, you can't figure it out. We're bringing in the ability to monitor receivers, which means that you can say, what codec are you running? How many frames a second is it? Are you up? Are you down? Who are you connected to? And a raft of other variables. So you will see a lot of products that come out from our partners that will allow you to begin to do things like observation, monitoring, and control in the classic sense for the first time. And furthermore, what we're doing is we have a new tool we're bringing out. And the new tool is the NDI Discovery tool. It's part of the Discovery server. It's free to use for an end user. And it's a UI, so you can go talk to an endpoint. You can tell it to change. We're also adding APIs to our advanced SDK, such that if you are a large equipment vendor, you can control an entire network if that's what you'd like to do. So lots of big changes. Receiver status and monitoring, improved discovery service, receiver discovery and control, and the new NDI tool. One of the things that a lot of people don't think about with NDI is NDI, the definition of NDI is an NDI stream has a unidirectional video flow as part of it. It has multiple audio channels that are associated with that video flow, but it also has metadata. What's metadata, right? Well, in this case, it's frame synchronized. So if you tell something to happen, it happens when the frame arrives, not ahead or behind it. So you can do things like SCUDdy triggers, closed captioning. So you can do PTZ control, tally, and KVM, which we've done forever. But now, working with our partners, working with our ecosystem, we're issuing standards for SCUDdy control, for closed captioning. Another one of our partners, Llama, who's here today. Uwin, where are you? Brought out a MIDI spec for metadata. Another one of our partners brought out DMX over NDI. So as we grow our ecosystem, we have created this thing to be built by the community called the Metadata Lab. It's an open initiative. Yes, it's on our site and we run it, but if you want to submit a metadata standard for an automobile, you can do that. You want to submit a metadata standard for something else, you can do that. We'll take it through it, talk to the other partners to make sure that when we all work together, talks, and move forward. So big step towards expanding NDI's use. There you go. We also made a big step in February, which you may not be aware of. NDI training is something that has not been available in the past. We made a major investment and commitment to NDI training for our community, with the first NDI course, NDI Basics, being made available for free and announced at ISE in January. It's a AVIXA certified course. You get education credits from AVIXA for it. And it's the first piece of making sure that everyone in our ecosystem, whether it's an end user, one of our ISVs, or one of our partners, can get NDI education. And we're announcing at the show the NDI Professional Certification. It'll be available in June and will allow you to take the new course, expand your knowledge, and become recognized as a professional who is technically trained in NDI. So we're expanding the ecosystem in all directions. So let me skip over all the expansion that we've done and talk about another major announcement here at NAB. For those of you who don't know what NDI Bridge is, NDI Bridge gives you the ability to bridge an NDI network across the internet. The bridge tool has been out since NDI 5. We all know and love it. It works well, lasts a long time. And back in NDI 5, if you had a LAN over here and a LAN over there and a LAN over there, most importantly, you could be on LAN number 1 and you could manage a resource over on LAN number 3. I don't know how many of your customers are large broadcasters. They do not want to say, give me circuit number 1. They want to say, give me camera number 1. So if you have a network in Sheboygan and you have a network in New York and a network in Shenzhen, the guy in New York, who's the director, can say, cue that camera in Shenzhen and pull that into an NDI network, a TriCaster, for example. And it's a resource because that's what they want to manage. They want to manage resources. They don't want to manage individual products. They don't want to manage individual connections. They don't want to manage circuits. So this was all great if you're a big guy, right? You have to have LANs in Sheboygan, Shenzhen, and New York. Well, we're going to break that paradigm here at NDI in that we are bringing out what is called the embedded bridge utility. The embedded bridge utility is being baked into our partners' products. And what it allows you to do is take a camera or a converter or a display and put it on a routable internet connection anywhere in the world and have it be a member of a network somewhere else and manage it that way. So you don't have to have a LAN in Shenzhen, you can have a single camera. You don't have to have a network in Sheboygan, you can have a display. And that director in New York can still direct and manage those NDI elements across the internet. And you'll see many of our partners showing this off in the booth at NAB. So KiloView will be showing a product which uses the NDI 6, the NDI bridge utility, embedded bridge utility. Bolin and Telecom will all have product in the booth, where what we are doing is that cameras are connected over the show internet, if the show internet works. We all know about bandwidth in the NAB hall, right? But at least in theory, it's going to go back to their headquarters in China or their headquarters, excuse me, elsewhere, and pull feeds that you can actually see on the screens. And you can do things like have someone control the camera. So NDI Bridge tool, NDI Bridge utility, which is now available to run as a service under Windows. So you can run it silently. And in fact, there are products here that are actually incorporating that. And last but not least, NDI embedded bridge. So giant step for NDI, creating ease of use for you and your customers. So what we've done with 6.2 and with the embedded bridge utility is we have made NDI observable. We've made NDI manageable. We've made NDI monitorable and controllable. And now you can remote a product without anything else needing to be connected to the network. No server, no other piece of equipment. You know, I can, so we do a demo where one of our guys, Roberto, has a garden in Italy. We often pull the feed from his garden in Italy. I had it in my bedroom, like in my backyard for ISC. And I had nothing other than a camera and a router. And in my case, I had Verizon. And we could control the camera and look at it. So very exciting stuff. Thank you for listening to what's coming with NDI. Are there any questions from the audience that I can help with or answer? Yes. Can I get a mic?
I got one.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I wanted this question to preface it. You know about some of the major failures, like with Netflix, with their live broadcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was wondering if there's some type of future with NDI where we who produce content can actually bridge that technical challenge of reaching, potentially millions of people with our broadcast Is there something that you can see in the future that NDI can help facilitate that?
Well, NDI today is primarily used, you know, in a production live production network or in collaboration. And in that case, we're not going to millions of users. Typically, what the architecture of that looks like is there's a production network that's doing the live production, and it's got perhaps a VizRT product or a TriCaster or a Grass Valley product, and they're actually creating that show and creating the the contribution feed coming out, and then that is handed to distribution. And NDI is generally not used for distribution over the internet because there are other protocols that are designed to do that by Google and by Microsoft and others. So from our perspective, we don't address that problem because we don't really have that problem. It's the distribution systems that Netflix has. I mean, what you don't see in Netflix is basically every single network operations center in every single town in the United States has got Netflix servers in it. It's a very complex network. And so when it goes down, you know, New York can go down. Or if the feed coming into the distribution system goes down, it all goes down. It's really sort of outside of what NDI does. Are there anybody else want to pick up the mic and ask a question?
Is the advanced class going to be free?
Yes.
Nice.
You know, NDI has been a technology that is free to use, and the education has been free, and we plan on keeping it that way. I mean, for those of you who wonder how NDI makes money, the reality is, you know, our partners, the Killaviews of the world, you know, the Telecoms, the Sonys, the Panasonic, they pay us license fees. And they pay us license fees because we have people like you who use NDI to implement their systems. And so they want access to that, and so they pay us money. So for that perspective, if you're an end user, you don't have to pay.
Thanks for being here. So in the sense of discoverability from the WAN side, how does it discern what sources are floating around on the internet?
So the way it works now, which is our first iteration of it, the device has a bridge on a LAN somewhere that it phones home to. Okay. And so you pre-program the device in Sheboygan or in New York or Shenzhen to connect to the bridge on the LAN in Atlanta. Okay. And now if there are other LANs connected to Atlanta, they can get to that camera as well. But at least for now, it's a fairly static connection. It's not dynamic. Obviously, going forward in the future, something that we consider doing.
So one would need the WAN IP address,
That's correct.
and then that would route into the appropriate IP address behind the firewall.
Right. We have, so that's correct. Basically, you need a static IP on the bridge side, or else you need to be able to, you know, tunnel it. We do use stun with some of our products, not with bridge yet. Well, I either did a great job or a lousy job. I don't know which one. But thank you for your time, and thank you for listening to what NDI has to offer. And I look forward, hopefully, to being here next year and telling you what's up in 2026. Thanks.